everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to do a mid-month wrap-up for the month of May. So I have never done mid-month wrap-ups. I've tinkered kind of with like weekly reads, and then normally I do monthly wrap-ups, but I'm going to try this mid-month wrap-up, and just whatever weekend kind of falls near the middle of the month, I'm going to give you my stats and thoughts about books for the first half, and then go ahead and do the second half. So I'm filming this on Saturday, May 14th. So it's going to be a little bit skewed. This is going to be a little bit shorter and the end's going to be a little bit longer, but let me know what you think of this format. If you like it, if you don't, I am going to share stats, even though it's not the full month. Like, I don't know, just let me know your thoughts. So in the first half of May, I have read 11 books. The average length of those books is 307 pages. I've read 3,372 pages, which is 241 pages a day. I've read 9 novels and 2 chapter books, 9 adult and 2 middle grade. I've had 1 2.5 star, 4 3 stars, 1 3.5 star, 4 4 stars, and a 5 star. So the average is 3.55, which again, I'm always right around that 3.5 level. And then I've read 2 on my shelf, 9 not on my shelf. So, the 2 that I read on my shelf were the 2 middle grade, so it's okay. None of my reading has been off my shelf, but that's okay. I've read 2 from Libby, 7 from NetGalley, and then 2 off my shelf. I have done 2 audiobooks, 7 e-arcs, and the e-arcs count as both ebooks and audiobooks because generally I have both, or else I just have the ebook, so I count it as just an e-arc. So I don't know if I'll ever differentiate that, and then 2 trade paperbacks. So I've read 4 new release and 4 backlist. And you're probably thinking, what? You've read only 4 new releases when 7 of them are NetGalley, and what? And the reason for that is because I read 3 that are re-releases. They are now releasing the audiobook. So I have the audiobook from NetGalley, and the ebook or whatever is on Kindle Unlimited or something like that already. So the ebook and paperback has been, or maybe hardback, but print copy and ebook has already been published. Now they're republishing the audio. So I have that through NetGalley. So that's why I'm counting the original publication date. So as far as genre goes, I've read 4 mystery thrillers, 3 romance, 2 contemporary, which is what I call the chapter books because they are all just general contemporary, 1 nonfiction, and 1 women's fiction. So that is the stats for the first half of the month. Let's go ahead and just get into the books. So the first one I read is Ballet Backflip, and this is, I think, number 2 in the Ella Diary series by Meredith Costain. This is a middle grade book. It's about, I can't remember how old she is, somewhere middle elementary school, a little girl named Ella. She is in ballet with her best friend and she loves it until everybody else starts doing gymnastics, and maybe that's the cooler thing. So also she gets put in this like ballet performance where she has to be a rock. So she's not happy about that and she wants to switch to gymnastics. I gave this 3 stars. I liked it, but I really didn't agree with like what the parents let her do and how they like did that. And also there were just like the message of like, you do you and be your own person was not hammered in as much as I wanted it to. She kind of followed the crowd and her parents kind of let her like ditch things to follow the crowd. And I just didn't really appreciate that. So 3 stars. Then we have The Wedding Season by Katie Birchall. So this is one that was pitched as like 27 dresses. So this woman gets jilted. She gets left, I think it's like the day before her wedding. And then she has to go, like that summer, she has to go to 7 different weddings. So her friends give her a bunch of different challenges. Like, okay, so go to this wedding and bring home cufflinks or bring home this, that, or the other to kind of make it fun and try to get her like out of the focus on everybody's getting married but her. So she does. However, the first probably quarter at least of the book is literally just her ruminating on her breakup, which, I mean, she has every right to. That would be heartbreaking. But as a reader, it was like, okay, we didn't even get to like the challenges thing until midway through the book. And then really like 85% of the book is her going to these weddings and being depressed and like ruminating over her ex. And so there is like a time in the end when she has a romance because she meets a guy somewhere in the middle, like in early in the weddings, and he's at a lot of these weddings and they don't really get along at first, but then of course they do. But like I said, the majority of the focus is her being so upset about her ex, and that just wasn't that fun to read. And I really wish she would have stood up for herself and kind of come into her own earlier in the book. So 3 stars on that one. Then we've got Trust a Stranger by Cole Baxter. So this one, if you guys have been watching lately, I've kind of fallen down a Cole Baxter rabbit hole where I have read a ton of it. Like, I just discovered him and I've read a ton lately. And this was my least favorite for sure. So this is about a woman who sees this other lady, this elderly lady who is 50, and she's described as elderly. Her voice is super elderly, and she's like in her 50s. But she sees her having a seizure like on the subway, and nobody is paying attention at all. So this woman like steps up and tries to help, and the two become friends. And so this older lady, like as a sign of her gratitude, she starts throwing parties for our main character and starts like just really lavishly putting her attention on her. And our main character thinks her husband is cheating. He's abusive, I believe. Just not a good guy at all. And so she really forms a friendship with Ruby, this older lady. And it's about should you trust Ruby? Because things start to get really controlling, and Ruby starts to want to control everything in our main character's life. And so should you trust Ruby? And I just thought it was so dumb because there were so many plot holes. Like, Ruby has a ton of money, and it's never really explained how. It is explained how, but it doesn't make sense given other things in the story. And now this is a thriller, so I'm being really cagey and not saying a lot. It just, there were a lot of plot holes. It was just not that great, so I give it 3 stars. Next is A Season for Second Chances by Jenny Bayless. So this is a book set in the wintertime. This woman, she's in her kind of empty nester stage of life. Her and her husband are split up. Her kids no longer need her. She's got a restaurant that's kind of thriving on its own. And so she decides to go be the innkeeper for this little cottage somewhere in this tiny town. It's an older lady who lives there, and it's so remote that it's hard to navigate in the winter. So the older lady, her nephew is like, hey, come live with me or in the city or something and have somebody else take care of the house. So she's like, okay. The nephew really wants to sell the house. And so he's not thrilled about her being there, but it is their romance, which is cute. But what I loved about this was the community that she found herself in, and just, it was so quaint and charming. And there's a kind of groundskeeper on the property, and she starts a book club there and gets in with all these women. And I just thought it was so cute, really cozy, really charming. Definitely a good winter read if you want one. So 4 stars on that. Then I read The Homewreckers by Mary Kay Andrews, and I feel like her books are always 3.5 stars for me. They are always 3.5 stars, and this one was no different. So this is about a group of women, or a woman actually. She is a contractor / designer. She really does flip or flop type things. And it's for her father-in-law's construction company. So she buys these old houses and flips them. And so somebody finds her, the producer of an HGTV-esque show finds her and is like, hey, it's in Savannah. So he's like, do you want to start a show called Saving Savannah, where you basically do this? Because at the beginning of the story, she's gone under on this house. It has got way more problems. The budget isn't working. It's just a flop. And so she's like, no, I don't want to do that. Her husband has died. So she's a widow, a young widow. And she's like, I just don't want to do that. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And he convinces her to do it. And of course, multiple things come up that were not part of the original deal. So she has to have this co-designer who's Mr. Hollywood. She has to be in hair and makeup and kind of be this person that she's not. And it changes the title to The Homewreckers, which she's not really comfortable with because she's just a good girl. She's not trying to be a homewrecker. And it's her story of romance with her co-star as well as the producer, and a little bit of a love triangle, but not really. I liked this. I liked this book, but her books are so long. And I feel like all of her books could be 50 to 100 pages less, and I would like it even more. And so that's kind of my biggest complaint. It was good. I would recommend it if you like Mary Kay Andrews, but prepare yourself for a long one. Next is You Got Anything Stronger by Gabrielle Union. So this is her second memoir, and I liked this one better than the first even. And this is about her really just being a working mom and trying to figure out how to juggle all the things. So they had a child through surrogacy because they did multiple rounds of IVF and all of that, and it was failing because her body just could not carry a baby. So they ended up having a surrogate carry their child. She's married to Dwayne Wade. And they had a surrogate carry their child. So just different reactions and perceptions around surrogacy that I thought were really interesting. And then also just how she manages being a Black working woman, mother, wife to a celebrity, all of these things. I just found it really interesting and really relatable at times, but also not. And yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Next is The Girl from the Sea by Shalini Bolin. So this one is about a girl who wakes up basically on a beach and she has no memory of what happened. She has a ton of money. Don't know why. She has a boyfriend who's kind of skeezy. Don't know the story there. And she loves to row. So that's kind of all we really know about her and all she really knows about herself. And so we follow her along as we are trying to figure out how did she get in the sea? Who is she? Who's bad? Who's good? What is going on? I really like this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was pretty predictable. In fact, I was listening to it on audio and I was listening to it during nap time, and my husband came up and he was listening with me for like 5 or 10 minutes and he's like, boom, so-and-so did it. And I am the type of thriller reader that I just like to like go along for the ride. I don't really like to guess or think it through. But this one was just kind of, there weren't that many options of who it could be. And so after 5 or 10 minutes of listening, he guessed correctly who it was. So that was a little like, meh, but the whole situation unfolded at the end, and I liked seeing that. You definitely get a good conclusion of all of that, and that's all I'm going to say. I was interested throughout, even though it was kind of predictable, and like it wasn't predictable until the second half of the book, I would say. So give it a shot if you're into that. Next is The Victim by Jillian Jackson. So I gave this 3 stars, and I don't even know if it deserves a full 3 stars, because this is just about a woman who calls the police because she just stabbed her husband, and she then tries to convince everybody that she is the victim. Is she? Is she not? She's a very meek individual. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about that. I feel like I've read this book 1,000 times. The twist at the end was, like I said, something I've read 1,000 times, so just okay. Next is Tell Me the Truth by Kirsten Moglin. And if you have read others of hers, please let me know, because I know people love her, and there's so many of her books that I really want to read, but this one was not good. I gave it 2.5 stars. This one is basically a woman just trying to prove that her husband is cheating. And I guess it's a thriller. Like the only thrilling bits happens in the very, very end when it's all like the big showdown conclusion. But like the rest of the book is just her trying to figure out and prove that her husband is cheating. He's reassuring her that he's not, and she believes him but continues to pursue this. And so I was bored as all get out, and I did not like it. So 2.5 stars. Let me know if you've read others by her, what I should go to, because this was not it for me. Then I read The Crazy Christmas Angel by Beverly Lewis. So this is number, I think, 4, maybe, in the Cul-de-Sac Kids series. This is a middle grade series by Beverly Lewis. It is a Christian fiction, and this one was so cute. This is about the cul-de-sac has an empty house, and so somebody moves in. It's this old guy. He doesn't seem to have any family or anything, and so one of the kids, Eric, I think is the kid that leads this book, he starts creeping on him, and it seems that he has angels that are flying around, and this man is dancing with angels. And instantly, when he's moving in, all the kids are kind of scared of him because he kind of looks curmudgeon-y. He's got a cane that he kind of yields his kind of threatening ways, I guess. And so they all paint him out to be this bad guy. But then as they watch and he's dancing with these angels and all of that, they decide to do Christmas carols for him. And to come to find out, obviously he's a really sweet guy. There's more to the story, and I just loved it. This is my 5 star. I thought it was so sweet. It definitely, I think that actually is number 3. It is our favorite in the series so far. Yeah, so good. And then last is Starry I Love by Helena Hunting. So I give this 4 stars. This is the second in the Spark House series. I have not read the first, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I don't feel like I needed to. This is about London. She is one of 3 sisters that owns the Spark House, which is, I wasn't exactly sure what it is. It's like an event planning hotel boutique business. And she meets this guy. Her and her sisters are out for drinks, and she meets this guy, but she has just broken up with her boyfriend. And she's like, I am not into this. No, she lies and says she has a boyfriend. And then come to find out a couple months later, he is like a major client that they have to work together. So, of course, it's like awkward at first because he's like, hey, like we know each other. You didn't tell me the truth. And, their relationship is really cute. I really enjoyed this book for the most part. And it's a very slow burn. Like there are definitely steamy scenes. It's not fade to black, but they are only a couple and they happen at the end. And I thought they were done. I mean, it was like the relationship had developed before there were steamy scenes, which I appreciate. I did not like the conflict that happens. I feel like he did not lie to her, and like, because he's a super sweet guy, like total cinnamon roll hero, loved him for the most part. But when this conflict came up, he didn't lie to her, but he kind of lied by omission. He didn't like, he wasn't completely transparent, and he wasn't completely upfront, and things that like, she would have liked to know, he withheld. And so I was like, I don't really love him. So then, of course, it was all resolved, and I wasn't even sure I still shipped them. So I gave it 4 stars. I would definitely read more in the series, and I would recommend this one. But that conflict frustrated me. The lack of communication and the lack of transparency is a pet peeve of mine. So yeah, that is it for what I read in May. Currently, I am reading My Wife is Missing by DJ Palmer. I'm a little over halfway through, and this is a book about a guy who, him and his family go to New York for vacation. He goes out to get a pizza, and he comes home, and his wife and 2 kids are gone. Were they kidnapped? Did they choose to leave? We do get her perspective as well. So we know as the reader what is going on with them. We also get her perspective before this vacation. So we kind of know what leads up to it. And I'm really enjoying it. I love the dual perspective. I love DJ Palmer so far from what I've read. So I'm enjoying this one a lot. Ainsley and I are also reading the next in the cul-de-sac kids, which is No Grown-Ups Allowed. And this is about, I forget the kid's name, the main character, but it's another one of the kids on the cul-de-sac, and his parents are gone. And so his grandmother is staying with him, and he has ADD, pretty severe ADD. So they don't want him eating a lot of sweets because that makes his body kind of go crazy and go out of control. And he is lying to his grandmother to eat a bunch of Valentine's Day sweets and not taking his meds. So it's interesting. It's interesting, and like I kind of think this one might be one that is going a little bit over Ainsley's head because it's a lot of talk around that. But I think for a child with ADD or an older child to understand like other things their friends have going on, I think this would be a great book. So overall, I'm really liking what I'm reading right now, and I will be back at the end of the month to update you with my final thoughts. So that is it. Let me know what you think of this format. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.